Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in. Again, I am Katie Batesman, the Managing Director, Community and Partnerships at SheCanCode, and today we are discussing what I wish I knew, advice for women in tech. I've got the fabulous Galina Chernikova, also known as Gala, with us today. She is a data scientist and she has a background in applied maths with a passion for AI, machine learning and empowering women in tech. She's here to share a little bit about her journey and her mission to break down barriers through mentorship and hands-on machine learning workshops. Welcome, Gala. It is a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for hosting me. I think you just said that we decided to name this episode What I Wish I Knew. But then I was reflecting and I saw that I want to take a slightly different angle. I'd actually would be highlighting what I didn't know.
I love that.
And how it ended up being a good thing.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, that's a really nice angle to take. All the things that I didn't know and now would like to share with everybody else. I love that. Can we start with a little bit background about you? Let's set the scene with a little bit about you, where you're from, how you got into tech. That would be great, please.
Yeah, sure. So I was born in Kiev in Ukraine, but I went to school and into university in Moscow in Russia. So I think that's quite an important highlight because the way how people approach tech industry in Eastern Europe is a bit different from the UK and from Northern Europe. So that's why I'm highlighting it. So I went to school into like a special class where I was studying mainly physics and mathematics, and I really wanted to go into physics. But then I started looking at my friends who were a couple years older than me, who already start pursuing their degrees in tech field, and I noticed that all of them were ended up in tech, even if they were like studying radio physics or something very hand-on mechanics or engineering. Yeah, but all people I knew, they ended up in tech and they had to refresh how to code. And I thought, okay, I'm doing physics and advanced math for my, let's say, Russian type of A levels. But I decided to go into computer science. Yeah, so I really wanted to have similar job title as my degree. So that was critical for me.
Yeah, I hear it's so interesting. You say a lot of people that you knew were going into tech because we don't have that problem in the UK, which is why we talk about it on this podcast. But it's great to hear that you were in an environment where a lot of people felt encouraged to go into tech and that you already could see lots of great things in the tech industry. What actually drew you into data science from that point, and what drew you to AI and machine learning?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Uh, so basically, I was thinking about what profession will be in demand. So I had to make decision on my degree when I was 17, 16, 17. And I thought, okay, we have that vast amount of data. So now we have this fancy name, like data of a profession, data scientist. What is it about? Because you can be not a scientist. You shouldn't like be in a lab wearing like a white robe or something. But you still can be, even without PhD, you can have this job title, data scientist. And it kind of drew my attention. And I started exploring, and I found it like very interesting that, okay, now we have that vast amount of data, and we need to have a specific science, how to work with this data, how to store it, how to analyze it, what patterns we can learn from that data, how we can use it. And that kind of drew my attention. And the second thing that I really like about my profession, that if you are a data scientist or machine learning specialist, you can work in any field. So it's not, it could be always very similar. So it will be like machine learning models, you will be coding in Python a lot, but you can be a data scientist in pharmaceutical company. You can be um, data scientist in a construction company or in on BBC News, or you can do open source investigations in New York Times. So you can work whenever you in any industry, and you can change the industry easily, and that opens you up this variety of the world,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a wonderful way of looking at it. The variety of companies that you can work at during your career once you become a data scientist. It's so interesting to hear when people go into that area, because there is that misconception as well around working in data, that it's going to be quite dry and quite boring, and that people think, oh, you work in data. And then actually, when you talk to people like yourselves who work in the industry and say things like that, how you can move around, and actually the impact that you have, and it's more what you can do with the data rather than just the data itself. Then you kind of get more of an understanding of how good a career in data can be. Like you just said, you can literally go anywhere once you know what to do.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And look at the like what is shaping the world now. It's
Mm.
all about data science, like all those changes, dramatic changes in our lifestyle, it's all coming from data science. And
Yeah.
that's just like that's actually mind-blowing. Like all LLMs and ChatGPT appearance changed our lives a lot. All those new technologies, they're all coming from data science. And I just really like that feeling that I am on track with what's happening in the world. Because if you understand technology, it wouldn't scare you. Because I would be honest, I had a chat with like pioneers in the industry, and all of them, even those who were like very into the field, when they firstly tried ChatGPT, they felt scared. Like every single one. When they tried, that was like a few years ago, but I think everyone was like, what's going on here? How is it like so accurate, so on spot, and so fast? But when you know what's inside the box, it's not as scary as if you think that, oh, we will have robots running all over the place and they will be ruling the world. When you know what's inside, it's not as scary.
Yes, and the way that that's sped things up for so many of us as well in our day to day, and the things that we can now just ask like ChatGPT to help us with things has really changed the way that so many of us have worked. And we even say that at our company, we look back and we go, I don't know how I used to get everything done without something like that to help me. Um, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about obviously women in tech and your involvement in that. You've been really active in supporting women in tech and the community. What sparked your involvement with Girls in Data and similar initiatives like that?
Yeah, so actually, I was looking for a community because I relocated to London only 3 years ago, and I really wanted to do something meaningful and find my community. And I heard about that organization, Girls in Data, which is like sub-organization of Women in Data. So they launched just, I think, a year ago, and one of the representatives of Girls in Data, she was sharing the idea and values of that organization. And that kind of resonated with me. She was saying that, oh, we really want girls to have those role models so they can see who are the people who work in the industry, so they can get some inspiration and they can understand what is happening in the industry. Yeah, and I found that I really liked the idea. And I saw that that would be like a great opportunity for, first of all, for me to learn. Because I think if you want to be like a good lecturer or a good speaker, the hardest there are two types of audience that are hardest. And I'm doing drama school in my free time, and I know a lot of people like who are playing on stage. And one English lady told me that two audiences are the hardest to deal with. First one is kids, teenagers, and second one is prisoners. Yeah, so I thought, okay, I can start with
I'll start with
teenagers.
prisoners.
I know that you didn't expect me saying that. Yeah, but I'm just bringing some unexpected spark to this conversation. Yeah, so I thought, well, I need to get out of my comfort zone and go and try to talk to teenagers and share my journey. Because it was also inspiring for me because I thought about myself and how I felt when I was 15. And I think I wasn't too rebellious because I had like a good role model of my mother, and I knew what I wanted to do from the age I was like 11. So it was quite a smooth journey for me. But looking at my friends and looking at the children of my older friends, I can see that sometimes teenagers they can get lost in this variety of information and of different ways, different paths and routes they can choose. Yeah, so I thought that I can go to schools and tell girls like more about myself, about my journey, and to make it less scary for them to go to pursue degree in STEM or tech.
It's very brave because teenagers are very honest as well. I completely agree with they must be one of the hardest audiences to connect with and to speak to. So yeah, it's quite brave to think, yep, I'll go for that age range because they do not hold back. What are some of the biggest barriers you've seen women face when entering the machine learning and AI space, and how can we break them down?
Well, to be honest, I think it really depends on the country and culture. So here in the UK, I've actually seen pretty balanced representation of women and men in data and tech, which is encouraging, and I didn't expect to see this. But that hasn't been always my personal experience. I was often in minority, so we don't have this gender split in schools. I know that some schools in the UK they have both genders. Some of them are just for girls or just for boys, so it's very different. But because our schools have always been mixed, being in minority really felt awkward when you're 14 and you have only 15% of girls and the rest are boys. And that could like feel very underwhelming when you're growing up, when you're just trying to figure out things, when you're changing, your body is changing, everything is changing. Yeah, so it felt very difficult to be in minority. So I think that positive discrimination really helps sometimes with this. And to begin with, I think that everything is coming from the family. Yeah, so I read a study where parents were asked to estimate IQ score of their sons and daughters. And it was surprising that they underestimated IQs of their daughters and always overestimated IQ of their sons. Even like parents who had like one son, one daughter, and just because of this gender bias, they were always like very supportive with their sons. I don't remember the country where this was made, but I think it was either UK or the US. I don't remember. I can probably check it out later. Uh, yeah, but imagine like living in a family and in an environment when people always like expect you to perform worse. I think that changed like a lot in your approach. And but I was surprised because there is no difference between genders, and there've been like a lot of studies that proven it. You can just go on PubMed or on any other source, and you can find that it's all about stereotypes, about environment and how people behave and with different genders. So I think we have to start breaking this stigma and should start encouraging girls to go into those technical fields and say that they can do it and show role models. Because when you see that many like CTOs or CIOs, they're men, so you don't think, oh, that's because we didn't have like balanced representation in schools, and we didn't have, as a coincidence, we didn't have equal representation of men and women in unis, and now we don't have this representation in technical companies. So we don't think about it. We don't think about all those biases that kind of combined and led to this representations of leaders in tech. Um, we just look at this representation and we see more men and we think, okay, women just, they cannot get there.
And
Yeah,
they're just choosing not to do it.
yeah, yeah.
And that's it. Oh, women are just not interested in tech. And actually there's so many things along the way, like you said, and then it gets to the point where everybody goes, well, where are all the women in leadership in tech? What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's very important to share those stories, success stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, because for me it was easier because I've seen my mom. She never had. I think she never had a moment when she was thinking, "Oh, should I use my career or my family?" She was like, "I want both things all at once now."
Yeah.
And I think that really shaped me, her approach. And when I was growing up, I didn't even had that question on my mind that you have to make a choice. So when I saw like friends of my sister who is like 5 years older than me, and I had like conversation with some of her friends, and they were like, "Oh yeah, probably I will give up my career because I want family, I want kids, and I want to spend some time raising them." And then I had my that thought in my mind for the first time in my life. Oh, so there is an option. So we have those options.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, to give up your career, to only to be a housewife, to raise kids, and probably that's something that you want. That's absolutely fine. But for me, because I didn't have this perspective when I was growing up, I never thought about it. And I'm thinking about girls who had a different role model and they didn't know that there is a different option to go with their careers or to go with their careers and build family at the same time. That's why they're not trying it. And we as a society, we have to show them that there are many ways, and you can let alone those biases and decide what you actually want in your life.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and especially in tech, because a lot of the companies, even the ones that we work with as partners, that support us, but also other companies in tech, they work to make their workforces flexible for things, for times like that, when you do want to go on mat leave, for instance, and then you come back as a parent, and having that flexibility. And a lot of companies will try and have training programs in place to ensure that you can return to work and kind of do that training to get you back to where you need to be, because there are some good companies out there that are really trying to retain their women in tech, so they'll do all they can to bring you back from that, because they understand life happens, people want to have families. But like you said, there are lots of ladies who think, I don't want to have to make the choice, I just need an employer that's going to support me along the way and at least understand that I do want to do both. So yeah, I couldn't agree more about not having to make that choice. And technology is a really good industry to be able to not have to do that.
Yeah, and actually, I think that's a very good point, that tech is one of those fields where you can work fully remote.
Yeah.
And after COVID, that just changed the game. And I think it changed the game a lot for women, because they can choose to work part-time. It's very different when you're working from home, so you're not spending too much time on commute both ways, because previously it used to be just spending 2 hours on top of 8 hours working in the office just to commute to the office. And now remote way of working, which you can find a lot in tech, I think changed the game and made this choice easier for women.
Yeah, and we had some ladies, using about COVID, we had some ladies who in lockdown saw what their husbands did for a living. And I had quite a few ladies tell me that they saw their software developer husbands, for instance, who were working remotely. COVID didn't really affect them because they were already working from home. And these ladies realized that, you know what, I could work from home. If I retrained, I could do that. And then I could spend that time with my family, and I can do the school drop-offs and pickups and what I need to do. And I spoke to one lady, and she retrained, and she went over to be a software developer at a company because her husband was doing it, and she noticed it in lockdown, and she's like, I could do that. So you're right, it was such a game changer for so many ladies who realized that I could have that flexibility and I could work remotely, and they kind of held on to that and retrained, which is great to see. It really encouraged a lot of ladies to want to take that up. Something that you advocate for is wanting to run more machine learning workshops. What would those look like, and who would they be for?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So I would love to run workshops that are approachable and very hands-on, and most importantly, human-centered. So I really want to show the root from the problem statement on how you craft the solution to solve this particular problem, and the results of machine learning and AI solutions for business, for charity organizations, and how they can just shape the industry. So I also think that I can actually make two types of workshops. I wanted to make like a very hands-on technical one series, and another one for people who are just trying to start their journey in tech, and similar to what I've done in schools for girls, explain who we are. I mean, data scientists, who data scientists are, what they do, what skills do you need to get into this tech field, and what the best way to start.
Yeah, and just to really see what your day-to-day is like, because I think that's a question that a lot of people think, I kind of understand what my job would be like, but don't quite understand. So it would be great to share those things of how to get in, and also when you are in, what kind of projects you'd work on, and what your day-to-day would actually be like. Because like we mentioned, we touched upon before, data for a lot of people sounds like it's going to be, I'm just going through spreadsheets and that's it. I'm just looking through spreadsheets and tidying up
Yeah,
data, and
yeah.
that's it. But there's so much more to that. So to hear the things that you actually do in your day to day would be so valuable for lots of young women.
Yeah, so actually, my goal wouldn't be to turn everyone into machine learning engineers, but to, how to say it in English, demystify the field.
Yes.
Yeah, because I want people to leave thinking, actually, that isn't as intimidating as I thought, or I could use this in my work tomorrow. Uh,
Mm.
yeah, so I think with appearance of ChatGPT and LLMs, it really changed the game, and the barrier to enter the field is a bit lower, or even to start like educating yourself. You can just understand what's the best way to prompt those models, and you can already start doing some baby steps.
Yeah, you are right. It is one of those industries that sounds very intimidating, full of lots of jargon and acronyms, and you kind of would look at it from the outside and think, I am not intelligent enough to go into that. But once you start training, and that's very, and that happens a lot with the tech industry as a whole as well. A lot of people on the outside think, I have to have a computer science degree and I'm not intelligent enough to go into that. And then actually, when you look into the roles available, what your day-to-day would be like, it's not always the case. It does also just depend on which areas you'd like to go in and what you'd like to specialize in. So yeah, demystifying the field is really important. One thing that is also really important is communities. Obviously, we are a community at SheCanCode. How do you think that communities like SheCanCode can better support women who are looking to pivot into technical roles like yours? There's lots of wonderful communities just like ours, but what about women that are looking to pivot into roles like yours?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I think that communities like SheCanCode already play such a powerful role by making women visible in tech. And that visibility alone can be the first push someone needs to think, if she did it, maybe I can do. So to take it even further, I think there is a huge value in offering structured but approachable pathways. Yeah, like mentorship pairing. So I love it. So I'm a mentor on SheCanCode platform, and uh, that allows me meeting like a lot of new, not a lot, but I mean like 5, 10 people who are like complete strangers to me from the very start. Uh, but because all of them, they're very passionate to move into tech or to learn something new, to learn about my experience, and that's a free option. So to talk to someone who has this experience, and on SheCanCode, we have a lot of mentors who are willing to share their experience. And I think that's great, because we didn't have it back in the day when I was doing my research and making a decision which degree I should choose. And I was reaching out to people like randomly on Facebook, like, oh, hi dude, I want to chat about your degree, like how do you find it? And a lot of people, they found it awkward and just they didn't want to reply to me, and I understand them, because if you put like name of your faculty on Facebook, that doesn't mean that you want to talk to people about it. So that's absolutely fine. But when you have those platforms and you have mentors, people who are willing to share their experiences, share the knowledge, um, that's a very good way to start. So I think you already asked me that the question, like what I would recommend from where to start. I would say find someone on SheCanCode or other communities, find a mentor, have a like friendly chat with them to understand like if I can start doing something as my mentor is doing, learn about their journey, try it on yourself, and think if that's something that would suit me. Or if you find someone and you think, oh, that's completely not my cup of tea, find another one.
Yes.
Yeah, have a
Yes.
conversation with as many people as you can to learn about different ways, different approaches, and yeah, I think that could be very helpful.
Yes, I love that you're in our mentoring program and that you're really thriving in there, because it was started for that reason, to take the awkwardness out of finding a mentor. Because you're right, people will fire off messages on like LinkedIn or Facebook, as you said, and you'd be like, hey, can you help me with something? And then you'll get a lot of rejections, and then a lot of people just ghost you, and you're starting to feel a little bit deflated. And then we would see it from the other side as well, because when we did shows and expos, people would approach us and say, hey, I really want to be a mentor, but I don't know where to find people that want to that want to mentor. So it's almost like people were missing each other. And there were so many good, willing people out there that wanted to give back to the women in tech community. We just wanted to connect the dots. So when we launched that program, we wanted some guidance in there. So it's like 8 weeks of guidance, but there is a midpoint check-in. So like you said as well, if you find at your midpoint that it's not for you, then there is a nicely worded email that you can just fire off and say, maybe this isn't a good connection, or we didn't quite align on what we thought we were going to, and neither of us are getting anything out of it, because it needs to work both ways. And you can just part ways, and it takes that awkwardness out, that go off and find someone else. But if you're still together after 8 weeks, absolutely fabulous. Please continue your partnership throughout your career. That'd be fab. But you're so right. We were hearing it from both sides, that mentors were looking for people and mentees were looking for people as well. And it's like, well, why don't we just connect the dots? Because it's so much easier when people put themselves in that directory and say, please reach out to me. I'm here if I can connect with you and we've got similar skills, then let's do that. But yeah, it's wonderful for us to see that all the connections made every day, and the we can't see the messages, but we know there are hundreds and hundreds of encrypted messages that are sent. And we just sort of think, God, that's amazing that these ladies are making those connections and are actually supporting each other.
And I think you can, like, if someone is listening to us who didn't try being a mentor or a mentee, let me try to sell it a bit more. So I think it's very beneficial for both ways.
Mm,
So thinking about like being a mentee and having a mentor as kind of like session with your psychotherapist, but career-wise.
yeah.
So I think sometimes it could be like draining for your friends or for your relatives to listen to someone's career's challenges.
Mhm.
But if you have a mentor, it's similar to a therapist. So it's someone who is interested in helping you out, who has probably similar background. So you have probably similar profession. For example, I've been mentoring one girl who is also a data scientist, but she started like only a few years ago, while I had like a bit more of experience. And she just needed like a view from a side on her career situation. And it's also a good thing for a self reflection for a mentor.
Yeah.
Uh, because sometimes I think all of us, we have this imposter syndrome. We
Yeah.
don't think that we're good enough. We don't think that, oh, I tick that box, I've done this project, and then you simply forget about it, and you never, uh, sometimes you don't get credits for accomplishing something. And when you're mentoring something and you share your experience and you're saying it out loud, you understand, whoa, I actually do have some experience and I have something to say.
Mm.
Uh, and that was a good thing for me as well, because I didn't, when I had my first mentee, I was like, oh, but what were I going to talk about?
Yeah.
I was like very insecure during the first session, but then I was like, okay, let's start looking at your CV or something very easy. And then I'm looking at someone's CV and I'm saying like, oh, I see like room for improvement here and there. And I thought, wow, I need to find a mentor myself, because I asked my partner to review my CV like 5 times or even more. And he's like, no, Gala, I'm not doing this again. So I thought, okay, I will come to my sister next time. But now I'm thinking, okay, I will find someone, I would find a mentor who will be like passionate about helping other people with a similar career, with similar like tech values, I would say.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Just learning from each other and gaining that confidence. Because you're right, sometimes you don't realize until you start speaking things through with your mentee that you're like, actually, I do know what I'm talking about. And I wish I'd known that several years ago as the theme of this podcast, all the things that I didn't know. But yeah, you realize when you're speaking it, you're actually talking it through with a mentee, that how far you've come, and where you'd like to go next as well. We spoke a little bit about those that are young girls or women, they're curious about tech, and you mentioned it a little bit about they're unsure where to get started, and you mentioned like mentorship, for instance. Something that we get asked a lot on here as well is people really worry about the technical side of things.
Mhm.
So they're kind of like, where do I get started with that? Because it's just so broad, and it's kind of, some people worry about investing in the wrong courses that are very expensive, and then they might be studying the wrong thing. Like, do you have any advice on that in terms of where to get started that might be good to sort of dip your toe?
Yes. So, yeah, that's a very good question, and that's a question that I get often from my mentees or from my friends. So first things first, if you're only starting, don't buy any courses. You can start with free resources. For example, there are a lot of courses from Harvard on computer science, both on math and computer science. So I would highly recommend going into, I think it's just like Harvard website, and find what courses they have there for free, because they're of a very good quality. Um, Even on Coursera, you can, if you're a student, you can ask for financial support. So they are willing to give access to different courses to people for free if you're a student, and if you're in the beginning. So they're asking for for you to describe your financial situation. You can just say, hey, I'm a student and I'm passionate about tech. I don't know where to start. So be really honest there, and they will give you a lot of they can give you courses for free. So that's the first tip. Probably second one, subscribe to few people who you really like. Find them either on YouTube, on Medium, on LinkedIn. Read about different people's stories. Find something in common. Find those kind of people. They usually post their own resources and what they recommend you to start from. So if that's kind of a general advice for everyone. We're talking specifically about machine learning, so my reply would be a bit more specific, but I want to give this like uniform answer for all tech fields, because tech could be very different. It could be machine learning, which requires a lot of math, a lot of linear algebra, calculus, and it's better to start with fundamentals, with linear algebra, with calculus, and then start building learning machine learning algorithms on top of that. If that's web designing, which is also tech, it's very different. And probably I'm not the one who can advise on web design because I've never done it myself, but you can go and find someone who've been like on your podcast or on other podcast, or someone on SheCanCode platform who is doing web design. Yeah, and start learning from there. But yeah, and I think one more thing that I didn't mention. So I saw at the very beginning of our conversation that I wanted to take a slightly different angle and highlight what I didn't know. So I think the thing that really helped me is that I didn't know anything about corporate hierarchy at the start. Well, I actually knew about that, but I didn't think about it. I didn't think about hierarchy at all. So I was setting up meetings. So I was hired as an intern because my line manager, he wanted for me to document, to write a documentation of the product that was done by a third-party vendor for our company. So they hired me, and it turned out that that third company didn't want to share code and repository with us because they claimed that it was their intellectual property. However, in the contract was very vague, so it was difficult to tell like if they can share their code or knowledge base or formulas or something. But that was my first job, and I really wanted to get something done. It was during summer. I was bored. I was like, I need to get something to do. And those people, they're saying that they're not sharing repository with me, so I cannot do my thing. I cannot document anything about this tool because I don't have anything to document. So then I went to lawyers. I asked them to share the contract with me. Then I set up like a bunch of meetings with people from that with that vendor. And I just started setting up meetings with different people across the company, not really paying attention to their titles, just driven by curiosity, ideas, and that passion to get something done. Yeah, and I still live by that rule. Treat everyone the same, whether it's the CEO, a peer, someone you're mentoring on, or someone just starting out. So the attitude should always be the same: respectful, open, and human.
Yes. I love everything you just said, because you're right there. Things like that and hierarchy, you don't really, you're not taught that at university, and then you go into the workplace and it can be sometimes quite a baptism of fire as to what happens when you go into the world of work, because you think, well, I've got all the qualifications and I'm ready to go, and then you kind of learn the ropes of a company, and that really makes a difference, as well as to which company you land in as well, where you're going to learn that, and all the politics that comes with being in the workplace as well, and all of those soft skills that come with that you have to go along with all of the technical skills as well, which are just as important. I could keep talking to you on this topic for all afternoon, but we are already out of time. It's absolutely flown by. So Galina, thank you so much for coming on and having a chat with us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have this conversation with you.
Thank you. And to everybody listening, as always, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you again next time.